Hey guys, this week's podcast features none other than Donnie and Alli, who just got back from their 10-day vacation to Italy. They came down to the studio, talked about Italian food, avoiding tourist traps, and what Alli thought of The Croods. Let's get to it.
I watched The Croods, and it was the greatest of all movies. I almost watched
it
twice. It was amazing. It was really fun.
You really liked it. You were laughing at some points.
I loved it. Almost watched it twice.
I watched twice. Altogether in 2 plane rides, I think 7 movies.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Because I can't sleep on planes.
All while you were smuggling. What is that?
It's called Aperol Spritz. Something that I fell in love with in Venice. It's one of the big drinks there. It's Aperol, usually Prosecco, which is like a sparkling white wine, and tonic water. And it's very refreshing.
All the young kids drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very hip.
Hip thing in Italy.
But we'll get to Venice later, Tom.
Ooh. Well, I'm sitting down here with my brother and sister-in-law, who just came back from Italy.
That's me.
48 hours ago, we were in Venice.
Yes, they were.
I think. Or in a plane. Probably in a plane.
Watching Croods.
Croods is amazing.
I want to see it now. We should Redbox it.
Netflix it?
It's not going to be on Netflix.
Redbox it.
No, that's probably not on Netflix, yeah. All right, so I thought I'd start it off and ask, just right out the gate, what was your favorite city?
Favorite city?
Favorite city to be in. Not food
so
specific.
we should probably say that we should probably mention the cities that we've visited.
Yeah. All right, start off. Say the cities that you guys.
So we spent 4 nights in Rome.
Okay. Then
3 nights in Florence.
Okay.
And 2 nights in Venice. In between Rome and Florence, we stopped at Orvieto. It's a little tiny town on like a big hill. But otherwise, those are the 3 major cities.
Okay.
What about Alli? What was your favorite city?
Not food-wise?
Well, just in general, like overall.
The all-around package.
Yeah. Or you could break it down like not food and then food. How about you do that?
Not food, Venice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Food,
I'd say
Florence.
I agree with Alli.
Okay.
I think that there's maybe better food in Rome.
Yeah, right. But it's just too big.
It's so hard to get around.
I assume that was probably the most touristy place.
No, you know what? I mean, I loved
Venice. The most touristy place.
Yeah, I think Venice was my favorite city overall, but it was also the most frustrating city because every day was like 5 cruise ships lined up outside, and just from until 6 p.m. you couldn't walk anywhere.
There's 60 to 70,000 people who actually live in Venice, and there's almost that many who visit
every day.
A day.
Wow.
Like they have like 15 million visitors a year or something insane. So if you break that down by day, it's almost like the same average of people who live, there.
And there aren't that many big places for them to walk through. Like
it's a small little area. So it just,
everything was just
thousands of people walking everywhere.
And I understand like 2 years ago, we were those people like on cruise ships that were in for like 10 hours a day, but it was just super annoying. But once you got out at night, like after 6 o'clock, it was a completely different atmosphere. Like there was 1/3 of the people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was great.
That's awesome.
But I thought it was
once 6 o'clock hits. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I just thought it was the prettiest place I've ever been. It's just gorgeous,
nice.
And it looks like Disney World.
Yeah, I saw both of you had Instagram pictures or whatever that said, and I remember you said it looks like a city out of BioShock.
If you see it
like that, just
in movies and on TV, it looks like that in real life. Like, you see it on TV, you're like, "There's no way it looks like that," but it really does.
I remember being excited that we were going to Venice and thinking like, "Oh, this is going to be really neat," but it even surpasses like what you think it's going to be like.
You can't explain it unless you've been there. It just it doesn't seem like it's real. There's no way this city's real.
But I think food-wise, we had our best experiences in Florence.
Yeah.
What separated Florence from the other ones food-wise? Was it
it's easier to get to things?
Yeah, Florence, I don't think anyone ever needs a guide, really.
You can walk around Florence really easy and get around really easily.
Everything we looked for was in
less than a
mile radius from our hotel. And we were in one area of Florence, but it was probably the busiest and most dense area.
It's the most tourist area of Florence.
I was going to say, how touristy was Florence compared to Rome?
They're all touristy, but there are only certain sections.
Unless you're like staying with a family, like in like some hills somewhere, you're going to be in a touristy area just because you're in a hotel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like all the hotels are kind of lined up. Rome was hard because we stayed in, it was kind of like the nicer area.
The embassy, where the embassies are.
Yeah, it was really nice, but all the restaurants were horrible around us. Just places that had really boring menus.
We were like in the Times Square area where it's all the restaurants are geared towards tourists and there's no locals who eat there.
Yeah, so every restaurant that we wanted to go to is at least like a mile and a half walk from our hotel.
Yeah. Now, was the food, as you went from like Florence to Rome to Venice, is there like, do they specialize in different types of food? Like, is it like, okay. Like,
I mean,
Rome is known for their pastas like carbonara, cacio e pepe.
Cacio e pepe is a big one, which is the one that we
and
went away for.
They have like a Roman style pizza, which is very thin and crispy. Is Roman style pizza, like really, really thin, crispy crust, and like
still
a wood
fire
oven.
Okay.
Florence is known for their wild boar ragu.
Yeah, which we got a couple places. Which isn't that crazy. I mean, it's not
among other things.
It's a little bit more gamier pork, but
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and Venice is known for their seafood.
Yeah, seafood's the big thing there.
And their little tapas.
Yeah, it's chickadee or chickadee, something like that. It's basically just little small plates that you get while you're drinking. And then they're known for the spritz too.
Oh, okay.
And they're known for other things too, but those are the things that we got.
Also, Florence is the home of the Negroni. That's where that was invented, which is one of my favorite cocktails.
Did you get one?
I had a couple
of them.
Yeah. They're very good.
Now, what was the pasta dish you mentioned at the start? That was you went out of your way for?
Cacio e pepe.
What's that?
So it's basically like the best mac and cheese you'll ever have.
Really?
It's spaghetti cooked in pecorino cheese usually.
It's usually pecorino, parmesan, what's peppery cheese.
Yeah, and then a lot of cracked pepper over it. And then they add some of the water that they used to cook the pasta into the cheese.
Well, usually it depends, but that's how you're supposed to.
It's a super simple dish. There's like maybe 4 ingredients, but it's just it's really, really good. And we locked out our first.
We got it the first night.
The first night we went to this place, Salumeria Raschioli, something like that. And we read online. We found this awesome website called parlafood.com. And it's this Katie Parla who is I guess a food blogger in Rome mostly.
Yeah, it's only Rome.
Yeah, and but she must be either really fluent in English or from America.
From
England.
Here. Yeah. She just travels a lot.
Yeah, and she has this whole app and this whole website and all these like recommendations of where to eat.
You don't have to use data, so you can use it.
Yeah, that was huge.
Oh, you
don't have to have your data on. You can just use it. Just downloads it all,
and then you use the GPS, which just uses the tower.
Satellite.
You're not using data
or whatever.
Now, did you guys strictly stick to a list when you went over there for restaurants that you wanted to go to, or did you find anything like off the beaten path?
Not in Rome.
Not really, except for that one little place.
Yeah, in Rome we had generally an idea.
Rome is really hard.
Of places.
Rome is like New York City, where it's huge.
Yeah,
and there's like tens of thousands of restaurants everywhere, and 90% of them are tourist traps.
Yeah,
which means
there's a shocking
serve only to tourists, and it's really third-rate, shitty food.
Like safe.
It's just crappy food.
It's just really bad pizza,
and they overcharge you. And the pizza's like not cooked in a wood fire oven; it's just a shitty pizza pie heated in a microwave. And most tourists don't know any better.
Yeah, like
so you have to really go out of your way to find the stuff that the locals go to and is real legit.
And it's really hard. Yeah,
okay.
and
because
and
the stuff that locals go to is not listed.
And it's hard to make like reservations there. Like a lot of these places. So we tried to have like our concierge at the hotels make these reservations, and some were better than others. With
concierge sucked. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the places that are really good, most people don't know about. It's where the locals go, and then once the tourists find out where the locals go, the tourists want to go there to eat where the locals go, and then it becomes touristy, and then the food usually suffers. So it's like a cycle. Like once the tourists find out about it, it stops being a cool local place.
Only a handful of times did we find ourselves in a restaurant where we were clearly
the only Americans,
the only people who weren't Italian.
So the places you went to were already like published as being like,
a lot of places we went to were half and half. Like they were half and half. There were some locals there.
Because a lot of these people are probably reading the same food websites that we read.
But
if they're there to check out food.
If you get a recommendation off a TripAdvisor...
TripAdvisor's hit or miss, man.
It's tourists. It's not tourists are using that, not Italians. So
Hard Rock Cafe was in the top 20 rated restaurants in Florence.
Yeah, that's how you know TripAdvisor is not really legit.
Yeah.
Because TripAdvisor is used by tourists, so it's rated by tourists.
Yeah, it was tricky.
So the restaurants are not going to be ones that locals eat at. It's going to be the ones that the tourists eat at.
Yeah.
We used it for a few things, and it worked a couple times, but most of it's not that good.
But for Rome, we really had to plan it out because it's just so big, and there was nothing within 3/4 of a mile from our hotel that wasn't tourist. Yeah, that wasn't
a tourist trap.
So we really had like a strict list, and it was tricky.
Katie Parla's thing a lot.
Yeah, and it was tricky because in August is when a lot of Italians go on holiday or vacation, as we call it, and so some of the restaurants that were highly recommended were closed. Like we walked,
and they're gone for like 3 weeks at a time.
We walked like 40 minutes to a restaurant, and we got there and it was closed.
Yeah, for the month or for a couple of weeks.
And that was one of those rare cases where we found this like little tiny shop that was basically like Rome's version of Jim's Steakout. All they did was sell little sandwiches like paninis with like fresh carved prosciutto and cheese, and like all the kids that were there were like getting ready to go out. Like this was like
that was like the one place we went to where we were the only Americans.
Yeah.
They were all like young Italian kids going out to drink, and this was like
they're all like getting ready to go out drinking,
pre-drinking food, and we just stumbled upon this little place. It was really cheap.
Yeah, it was like awesome. It was like €12.
It was really cool
for 2 sandwiches and a couple drinks.
Now, like, how late does since you saw these kids going out? How late are things
people
open?
Don't
like our
go out
bars
to eat there. Like Italians don't eat dinner. Well, in the big cities, they usually don't go out till later, and I don't know if that's just like how it is there, or if they wait till the tour. Usually, it seems
they wait till the tourists.
I think they wait for the tourists because the tourists go out to eat at like 6, 7. I think they go out to eat at like 9, and that's after the tour. Because we've noticed the later we went out, the more Italians were in the restaurants.
And probably the easier it was to get into the
Also, I think that a lot of them probably work in the tourism industry.
That too.
And so their shops probably close, and then they have to go out later.
And they go out and get food.
I also think it's part of like they've always, because they just...
Yeah, I generally think
culture,
it's a later eating time too.
Okay.
But it was like 9, 10 o'clock we went to this little place, and kids were like eating and then clearly going to drink after.
You know what though? We didn't see a lot of... I don't know if we were right in the right neighborhoods, but I don't think we ever saw a lot of like bars.
No,
I don't just touristy know
bars.
If we were.
Yeah, I was going to ask what like did you go to any Italian bars?
Not in Rome.
Not in Rome. No. I don't think I even drank in Rome.
No, because it was too hard.
Yeah,
Rome is really hard. It's just really big.
Oh wow,
it's
you're going
really
to
big.
a lot of things. So you're spending like 6 hours going to the Vatican. You're spending 6 hours going to the Colosseum.
Yeah, of course.
And the Roman Forum. And it's like, we were there in August, so it's like almost 100-degree weather. You're walking around for 7 straight hours.
So you don't want to drink at all after all.
Not even that, but you just don't want, like...
and then after you get back to your hotel and clean yourself up, you got to walk at least another mile to go find a place to drink and eat. It's just a pain in the ass.
And the thing, and everyone thinks like, oh, you just have to walk a mile. Like, the streets in Rome...
Yeah, it's like really 2 miles.
Everything is like a 30-degree angle. Like, there's no walk where you're not walking up a huge, gigantic hill at least twice.
And then you're making turns every 300 feet. It's like turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right. Like Rome, down this alleyway.
Like I said, like Rome would be amazing if you had a best friend who like lived in Rome for years and could tell you the places to go to eat. Yeah. If you had unlimited money for taxis, so you weren't walking everywhere. And we looked up. I read about like the public transportation, and they have buses and subways, but like the subways are just like 2 lines that create an X. So, like, unless you really, like, are in that line, like, the subway doesn't even help you that much.
I'm sure we could have figured it out, but only 4 days. We didn't have the time to figure it out.
And there's no way I'm, like, renting a scooter or anything because you would die. Like,
driving there is insane.
Yeah. So Rome, we kind of thought, like, if we could get 4 good meals, we'd call it a win. And I think we did.
We went to probably a pizza place that was the best pizza I had. Librioni, and that was like way behind the Colosseum,
right next
way
to
out of the way.
Street.
It was kind of in more of a
street.
Yeah, it was a gay street.
It was away from the touristy areas, so it was definitely a locals place.
Yeah,
there was some tourists there because it's on TripAdvisor, so people know about it. It's not like hidden, but
we lucked out too because we didn't have a reservation.
We got in before reservation, and there was a lot of locals coming in after us, and the pizza was really amazing.
Yeah, it was very
wood
good.
Wood-fired, super thin crust.
Allie's family didn't like a lot of the pizza that we had.
They loved
this was like the unanimous. I think everyone thought this was maybe the best meal they had.
But I don't know if Pizzerium may have been better. You can talk about Pizzerium.
So Pizzerium was this place right behind the Vatican.
Okay.
And so it's one of those rare restaurants where it's actually near a big tourist area, but it's actually really quality.
Okay.
But it's kind of
it's enough behind where it wasn't a tourist area anymore.
we were in like almost like a residential area.
Yeah.
And Pizzerium is Gabriel Bonci, Bonci, and it's called Pizzerium. And I first found out about it because Anthony Bourdain went there on one of his shows, the Layover, and it's square pizza that
it's so good.
They actually serve it to you by weight. Really? So you tell them like how many strips you want, and then they weigh it, and then you pay per however
they have really
grams,
awesome
metric system.
Oh,
they have really good toppings.
Yeah, they have great toppings. And so we had like one that was just like a vegetarian. We had one that was classic, which is kind of like just the sauce and
it's just
bread.
sauce. It's just a marinara sauce.
Yeah, and then we had one that was like really thin sliced potatoes and then topped with
truffle mousse.
Yeah,
black truffle mousse.
Weird.
Yeah, black truffles is a thing in Rome, right? Black truffles.
Oh, kind of all of Italy, but definitely Rome.
Yeah, all of Italy, I guess. But the crust was the best crust I've ever had on a pizza ever.
It's amazing. Wow. Yeah. And this guy's kind of renowned for being a really good, pizza guy in Rome.
Maker.
But yeah, it lived up to the hype. Like we had read a lot about it, and it was even better than I thought.
It's awesome.
But it was a pain. I mean, first of all, the place is called Pizzerium, so we brought it up to like three
different tour guides, and they're like, "Yeah,
pizzeria."
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, I know, it's a pizzeria. What's the name of it?" Like it was like the stupid like who's on first. Like I was like trying to explain like, no, it's called Pizzerium. They're like, I know it's a pizzeria. Like, what's the name of it? And like,
I know, and they looked at us like we were idiots.
And then the one guide was like, I've never heard of it, so it probably can't be that good. And I was like, no, I know it's really good. Like it's world renowned. Yeah. The guy's like a celebrity. But I guess like that was the other thing we found out.
It's not called Pizzerium to the locals. It's called Bonci or Bonci or whatever the guy's name is.
We found that a lot though. Like the one gelato place in Rome. Everything online was Il Gelato. That was the name of it.
Okay.
But to the locals, it's called San Crispano.
So like we had like a couple of those instances where we were trying to explain something and like they call it something else.
We talk about gelato.
Yes, let's talk about gelato.
Speaking of a lot of horrible things.
Let me explain gelato.
Yeah.
No one unless you do your research and know what you're doing. Most gelato, just like the tourist traps food, 90% of gelato in Rome and most of the places is not real gelato.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like it's gelato. It's ice cream, but it's like made from powdered mixes, and it's like icy.
It's not real.
It's not like it's not legit true gelato.
And those are everywhere.
And it's everywhere. And everyone's because you go in and you see these gelato places, and it's like these huge mounds of fluorescent colored ice cream with like fruit on top, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, look at that gelato! I need it."
Yeah.
That's not real gelato.
Yeah.
Real gelato is like very muted colors because it's made from natural ingredients. It's not made from powdered mixes.
It's actually made from like fruit.
There's no preservatives. It's like made from real ingredients.
Most of the time it's covered.
So like pistachio will be like a really muted green, if not even like beigeish color.
Yeah, it won't be like fluorescent green.
But like in the fake places, it's like a fluorescent bright green. Everyone's like, oh, that must be pistachio because it's bright green. It's not really.
And we even knew about this, the whole like gelato conundrum when we went on our cruise. Like the people on our cruise,
and even then we got tricked.
Yeah, but like because they were like, okay, you want to go to places that only have metal tins that are holding the gelato because if it's plastic, that means it's fake or whatever.
Yeah,
and then that's changed now because everyone has metal tins
because they find out that's how they want to look legit.
So the real stuff is usually in like a round. It doesn't have to be round, but usually a round or square container that has a cover, and it's not a big mound of ice cream. It's pretty flat. The colors are pretty muted, and there should be an ingredient. All Italian restaurants have to have their ingredient list listed, so you can look at the ingredients and see if it's like really legit. But there's only like a handful of places that sell like.
And we only found one in Rome. Yeah, the San Crispano.
And there was more
place
that I had on the list, but that San Crispano was like right around the Trevi Fountain.
Yeah,
so
another one of those rare things where like
it was around a touristy area, but it was a legit.
I'm sure there's a lot more that we didn't know about, but this is the one that we could get to easy.
Yeah.
But for every one legit gelato place, there's like
100
fake gelato places, and they're everywhere.
You know what I also decided was like if they're just doing gelato, there's a good chance it's legit. If it has gelato and then like a huge selection of like soft drinks and beer and like basically like a corner store, like
it's fake.
If they're doing everything,
stuff,
they have like slices of crappy pizza and gelato. Like it's all
that makes sense because they're trying to target to tourists.
And you know what the other thing is? I realized it would be like if somebody was visiting New York City for the first time ever. And they were like, all they had heard about was New York style pizza.
Yeah.
And they went to like Times Square and there's just like 1,000 places that say like New York style pizza that are all probably edible, but like the same quality.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was the thing that we kind of tried to explain to her family was I understand like all this gelato is probably fine. Like it's not going to be disgusting.
No, it's just
but we want the best. Like I want to have the best possible experience.
If I'm in Italy, I want to eat true Italian fresh, like real legit gelato, not stuff with like chemical stabilizers and preservatives and made from powdered mixes that I could get at any corner store here.
Like if we went to Wegmans and had their gelato, it would be better. Yeah, better or the same as everything else. So I understand people who are like, oh, I just want to have gelato in Rome, but it's like.
You're not really.
You're not, but like,
you're getting a mediocre representation.
It doesn't matter where you eat it then. You could eat all those places going to take exactly the same because they're all using the same packages. Like, I want to have something that's unique.
And we even, of course. Like, if you take a cup of the fake gelato and put it next to a cup of the real gelato,
the texture is
is completely 100% different. The flavors will be completely different. Like, you don't know until you try it, but
I think Rome was the one that was maybe the hardest.
Yeah.
Florence, it seemed like there was more real gelato places.
In Florence, there was Percheno and Santa Trinita.
Yeah.
Trinita.
Yeah, which was right near the
really
Ponte
amazing.
Vecchio.
It's probably the best gelato we had in Italy.
Yeah.
Super creamy, super flavorful, real legit stuff.
Not and in Venice, we went to, what was it? Gorgeous Gelato or some crazy name like that. Like Lucky Gelato. It was like
Gelato Fantasy or Gelato Fantasy or something.
Yeah. It was like the most like somebody didn't understand like the two English words and we're just like, yeah, that works. Like it was just like, I don't know.
But if you ever go to Italy, do yourself a favor and look up real versus fake gelato and educate yourself on it, because if not, you're just going to waste your money on this shitty fake not real gelato.
Yeah. So, you guys mentioned a few things. What did you use to find all these restaurants, or like a real gelato place or any of that stuff? Was there anything other than
Katie Parla? So Parla Rome we used for Rome.
Yeah.
And then for Florence and Venice, I spent a couple weeks before we left Googling. I used TripAdvisor for some places.
Which worked out for a couple.
Yeah.
TripAdvisor's hard. Sometimes it works great and sometimes it leads you to a...
Well, the problem with TripAdvisor is, like in Venice, there's this place, what's it called? What's the sandwich place?
Oh, All'antico something.
Vinaio.
Yeah, Vinaio. Yeah.
We went there 2 years ago. We went there 2 years ago when we were on our cruise, and we found it by accident. It's this little sandwich shop that serves like fresh cut like salamis and prosciutto and
then like glasses of wine
and like bread with like fresh cheese, like little paninis, like not paninis, sandwiches.
Yeah.
With glasses of wine. It used to be a true like locals place. We found it 2 years ago. No one was there.
Completely by accident. Like we just walked by.
We were like the only ones there. It was like our best meal of the whole trip. This perfectly like just simple sandwich. We went this year on TripAdvisor. It's the #1 restaurant now.
Yeah.
So we went there. The line was like a mile long of tourists waiting to get in. And on the side of the building, someone wrote, tourists are worse than like an occupational army or something like that.
Wow.
Because the tourists have now ruined this place for the locals.
Yeah.
Because of things like TripAdvisor and Yelp.
And you could see like some of like the locals would like cut the line and they'd like serve them like right away.
Yeah.
And
because you could tell people have been going there for like years to get these great sandwiches, and now the tourists have found it.
I mean, I still think the food is great. Like,
so that's
those
the problem.
Sandwiches we had.
Oh, it was still awesome. Amazing food, but that's the problem with TripAdvisor because now
it's built it up to a place where now
it's the #1 restaurant in Florence according to TripAdvisor. So all the tourists go there, and it's ruined it for the locals, I think.
Yeah.
And well, I guess another question I had: you guys usually aren't touristy when you go places. I know you don't like do a lot of touristy things.
No, I mean,
like
we did
our biggest spots are New York City and Toronto, and I mean, we don't go to Toronto, go to the Eaton Mall now.
Yeah, and you don't see the Statue of Liberty or anything like that.
No.
Those kind of things, I think you just see.
Yeah,
once.
I guess how obviously Italy has a ton of the three cities.
Well, you have to see all the tourist stuff if you go there.
I don't think we were talking about this a lot. Like if we ever went back to Rome,
we wouldn't go to see any of that stuff again.
No.
You've seen it twice now. And that's
like the Colosseum, the Vatican, the Roman Forum.
But you have to see it once. You can't not see you can't not see the Colosseum. You can't not see the Roman Forum. You can't not see the Vatican. It doesn't matter if you're like religious or not. The Trevi Fountain you can walk by easily. Yeah. As many times as you go.
It's still depressing. It's just a cluster of people standing around. It's annoying.
Yeah, you can never see unless you go at like 2 a.m. to look at it. You're never going to see it without people.
Was there anything in particular that was like really?
I mean, we've been to the Colosseum twice now. It still is amazing when you walk into it. Like I don't think that would ever get old. Like I don't have any urge to go back and see it again because I feel pretty confident.
And the Roman Forum is always my favorite thing.
Yeah, you love the Roman Forum.
I love the Roman Forum. It's just like you're standing in a legit Roman like town. The roads are still there. Like all the buildings are still there.
It's neat.
It's just hard because it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah. But. It's completely wide open.
But you have to see you have to see that stuff. In Florence, like you walk by the
Duomo,
the Santa Maria Fiore church, huge cathedral.
Not the Japanese furry brown thing.
No, not that Duomo.
If only.
The Duomo.
Yeah.
Domo, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one.
And you got to go see the bridges, the
Ponte Vecchio.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Spanish stuff.
That's in Rome.
That was in Rome. We saw that.
It all blends together.
So you did all that.
So you have to see all that.
I mean, and plus we were with 5 people
who've never
been to Italy.
Yeah.
And this was the first time they're seeing all these things. And obviously we don't want to be, jerks and be like, oh, it's whatever. I was here 2 years ago.
I've already seen it.
No, it's all really cool. You have to see it.
Yeah.
But if I ever go back to Rome, I wouldn't. Like I'd walk by the Colosseum, whatever, but I wouldn't go to any of those places.
Yeah.
I would focus on
out of your way.
Finding really good.
Florence, I don't think I would ever need to see any of that stuff again.
You would just go strictly for food.
Yeah, and Florence is easy enough to get around. I think you can just do whatever.
Is that the easiest out of the 3?
I mean, Venice is small.
It's easy to walk around, but it's hard to find stuff because of all the canals and tiny little streets. You have to
you get lost.
You get lost so easily. Florence is really easy to get around.
And everyone says that's the whole point of going to Venice is you just walk around and get lost.
Which is cool. You can.
It's neat, but then you're trying to. I don't know. You're walking down dead ends like every other street.
Yeah. But
I don't know. And there's really not that much touristy stuff in Venice. I mean, besides doing a gondola ride, which we did. Besides seeing whatever the square or the
St. Mark's
Square and the church and the tower. I don't think there's really that much touristy stuff.
Okay.
It's you just kind of hang out.
You're just there to see Venice as a whole.
Yeah, just to experience the whole city.
That makes sense. I mean, from what you guys said in your Facebook post and Instagram, it seemed like that all kind of blew you away.
It's
pretty well.
It's like not a real city. Like you walk out and you're like, this is not real. This has got to be like a facade.
Like you read that there's no streets and everything's through canals.
Yeah.
And you think oh, that's kind of neat. And then you actually see it happening in front of you and you're like, wait a minute.
Ridiculous.
There's no
the fact that a city was built there and none of the buildings, most of them are at least 300 years old.
Yeah.
There's very few modern structures.
And
by modern, I mean 1800s.
And all of the structures are supported by wooden stakes that were hammered into the ground or holding up all those buildings.
In the water.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Eastern influences, like Byzantine Empire. It's and they speak their own, the Italian they speak is not Italian. It's like a Venetian language they speak, their own dialect with words that don't even mean the same in Italian.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's really their own country.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot
crazy.
Of. It's more. I don't know. It's a weird mix of Greek and Turkey, and
it's just it's amazing.
It should be. I mean, it was the longest standing republic of before it became
before Italy. All the states became one country.
So it really is its own country. It doesn't even seem like Italy. It seems like its own.
Yeah.
Like it could be its own country.
I mean, we had to take a boat to the airport.
We took a boat to the airport.
That's how we got to the airport. We had to get on a boat and get on a boat for 30 minutes to get to the airport.
But Venice is really filled with tourist trap restaurants too.
Yeah,
because of all the tourism that comes from the cruise ships. It's really
expensive.
it's more expensive.
So in St. Mark's Square, every night there's these mini orchestras that are playing in front of cafes.
It's really awesome.
And it's gorgeous.
Really awesome.
I took an Instagram video.
There's like it's like 6 people in an orchestra and they're just playing music.
Yeah.
And like they all serve coffee and spritzes and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
But like the one our guide said is like, yeah, that's a great cafe. It's the oldest one in Venice.
It was like 1700s. It was opened.
And they're like, and
it's
if you sit down there at the table, it's about $20. It's about €20 per cappuccino.
25 euros per cappuccino. So it's like a $30 cup of coffee because you're sitting at this really old cafe with an orchestra in one of the most famous squares in the world.
Which, by the way, sitting down at a restaurant, they will charge people double. Like, that's an Italy thing.
Well, it depends.
Really?
It's just
in the areas we were
at coffee shops. Most Italians drink their cappuccino at the bar in the coffee shop. They stand there, they drink it, and they leave. If you sit down, they're going to charge you more.
Yeah.
And then also there's the caperto, the service charge.
Yeah.
So not only...
So normally you don't tip that much.
Tipping is different in Europe, or in Italy at least. I'm sure it's different all over Europe. But in Italy, like here we tip like 15 to 20%, 10% to 20%, whatever.
Yeah.
There it's not as common a tip.
Yeah.
But they put a service charge on the bill. And I don't know if it's like not legal anymore or they're not supposed to do it anymore, but they do, especially the tourists.
Yeah.
And like usually it's like maybe they put like a $3 service charge.
Yeah.
And that's considered
like
your tip.
$1.50 seemed like the average price.
But at some places they charge like $2 to $4 a person service charge. Which people like tourists don't know any better.
Yeah, and
so they just pay it.
Just a European.
But they're not supposed to do it. So like the one place we went in Venice, they don't do it. Because it's like a more legit local place.
Yeah.
That El Mascarpone or whatever.
Yeah,
or no, how do you say it?
Which one was that?
In Venice, the seafood place we went to.
Oh, Mascarata?
Oh, Masquerada or something like that. I can't remember. But they don't charge a service fee because they're like catering more to locals and locals don't stand for that shit. And they also, in a lot of places, especially the tourist shops, they charge you for bread. There's a bread free. It's usually like a $3 thing they bring you bread automatically unless you tell them not to.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll charge you for it. And then the water all comes in bottles.
Yeah, there's no free tap water.
You either get sparkling water or still water. You don't ask for tap water.
Which the craziest thing is that in Rome, there is free tap water everywhere.
There's fountains everywhere. There's like 100,000-year-old fountains that still work because the aqueducts still work, and you can get free water. There's tons of fountains everywhere, and they're awesome.
So you see these fountains like pouring in. You're like, oh, that's probably disgusting water because
it's the second best water in the world, next to what, Tom? Who has the best water in the world?
I have no idea.
New York. New York State has the best water in the world, especially in Buffalo because of what we live next to.
The plant over there on the waterfront.
But Rome has the second best water in the world, I guess. But their aqueducts still work, and there's fountains everywhere, so there's water everywhere. But at restaurants, you get bottles of water, like big glass bottles of water. And you get sparkling or still. Gas or no gas.
Gas or no gas.
And they usually charge you for that, too. So nothing's free.
No.
Then the more tourists of the place, the more they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you more for bread. They're going to charge you more for water. They're going to charge you a service charge.
Because they can get away with it, and they've got away with it more and more.
And the local places, they're not going to charge you for that. Like at the place in Venice, they didn't charge us for bread or service. It's just we paid like $1.50 for our water.
Yeah.
So you got to really search that out because you're going to get screwed if you don't.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess I'll finish it off with asking what each of your favorite meal was while you were in Italy. Donnie?
Favorite meals? God, I don't know.
I'll go first.
Yeah, Ellie can go first.
All right, Ellie will go first then.
I have two. Oh, maybe I have three things. Okay. The first place we went in Rome the first night, Rascioli, the burrata cheese. The burrata cheese was the best burrata I've ever had.
Yeah, I'd have to say the exact.
There's some people in Buffalo who make good burrata.
Yeah.
Jill at Nickel City Cheese makes a great burrata. However, no one in Buffalo has the burrata that I had. There's no one around. I don't even know anywhere within 100 miles where I can get, or probably more.
Maybe Toronto.
Maybe. I doubt it.
Maybe at the Cheese
Maybe
Boutique.
New York City. This burrata was like the greatest thing I've ever had in my life.
Just the most perfect creamy center, and then the outer mozzarella was like.
And then they had these sun-dried cherry tomatoes, which tasted like candy.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it was
and like sun-dried tomatoes is
God,
such a cliche restaurant thing, but these were the best sun-dried tomatoes I've
and they're
ever
known
had.
for that. Like that, I read that everywhere. Like, get the sun-dried tomatoes with cheese, and oh my God, it was so good. So there's that, and then Pizzerium Pizza was really amazing.
Yeah, place behind the Vatican.
And then in Florence, I got the wild boar ragu at Osteria Brincello or something, some little place that we found online.
By the way, we're gonna have posts all this week.
We'll post with all the restaurant names and pictures. Yeah. That was my favorite thing ever. Wild boar ragu. It's just like pork butt, pork shoulder, cooked for like 2 days.
It was extremely tender.
Cooked for like 2 days, and they make a ragu out of it, and then they had homemade pasta with it, and it was just the most amazing effing thing ever. And that was my favorite thing.
I would say those both are very big highlights for me too. I fell in love with Aperol spritzes in Venice. My last night,
you're such a loser.
I had 5 of them.
Yeah, he was pretty hammered.
It was amazing.
On spritzers.
Like, it was just, I think
and
it's
we
like,
walked around Venice in the dark.
Yeah, I just think
after
it's
having 5 Aperol
literally
spritzers.
so in Venice, like the humidity was insane,
like 150%.
Yeah, like we got off the boat or out of the van, like our transportation to Venice, and like you walked outside and you could like it felt like you could drink the air.
You were in a sauna, like you sweat instantly. Like I didn't even like put on any makeup because it got literally melted off my face. It got
better like over those 2 days. Like by the time we left, it was way better outside.
Yeah, at nighttime it was better, but during the day, holy shit.
So humid, and like it's just a perfect drink for that kind of weather. So that's just something like now I'm going to make that. Like now I'm going to get all the ingredients and make it like every now and then.
Just like I'm going to make wild boar ragu. But probably not with wild boar because I don't know if I can get that. But if I can get a really good pork shoulder from T Meadow Farms, I'm going to do that.
Raskiel, that was our first proper meal that we had the entire trip.
Oh, that carbonara.
And I that carbonara, the spaghetti carbonara, I don't even like carbonara that much, which is basically like a spaghetti with egg yolk and bacon and
pancetta
or pancetta, whatever. And that was amazing. Like it was perfect. I don't know what else. I mean, I really like the La Bussola, this like
in Florence.
This place in Florence, I had more like Naples style pizza with like the puffy outer crust and everything. I thought that was really cool, and they had a big craft beer selection, and I had like this awesome beer that was from Italy because I guess like their beer scene's kind of blowing up right now.
Nice.
We also went to this bar in Florence that was like legit locals.
Joshua Tree.
The Joshua Tree.
The Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
like and it's like an Irish bar, and they have what was the Irish beer they had everywhere?
Oh,
Murphy's.
Yeah, Murphy's. There was a lot of Murphy's. There's a lot of Heineken all over the place.
But it was all locals. Like that's their like dive. It was like the inside of it was like going into like Frizzies or like DBGBs. Essex. There you go.
It was just like a dive. Essex. Yeah, nice. It was really cool.
It was like their Essex.
We had like 2 beers there and just kind of hung out, and like that was just neat because I felt like I was actually
dudes were yelling in Italian at each other.
Yeah,
it was like a real legit place.
Nerbone we went to. It's in the Central Market.
In the Central Market in Florence is like a famous
sandwich shop. It's like really
porchetta.
old. Like this place has been there for
porchetta.
That was a really great sandwich. I mean, those are the
big highlights.
It was all really good. It's hard to pick a favorite.
I mean, we luckily did not have that many bad meals.
We ate really well. We only had like one maybe bad meal.
Yeah.
But we went out. We made sure we spent a lot of time making sure we didn't have bad meals.
Yeah.
Did your research?
And we just kind of went our own way from her family on occasion.
Yeah, of course.
We had our own thing, and not everyone's going to Italy to eat their faces off.
Yeah,
obviously,
course.
if you're listening to this podcast, you care about eating. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who are just going to eat.
Yeah,
and it'll be fine. But no, I think we did pretty good, and we'll give everybody our list of places we went that we'd suggest in case anyone's planning any Italy trips.
There you go.
Yeah.
We actually today when we were at the food truck thing had 3 people tell us that our trip
3 food truck owners.
Told us that our pictures and things like that inspired them to make various Italian dishes and things like that. So And it was cool. Everyone has said that they like thought like we've eaten our faces off and we like live vicariously through us. So I kind of feel good that a lot of our foodie friends think we did a good job. So,
I just want to suggest that if you're going to Italy, try to go in the off season because it's really, really effing hot in the summer. That's
so bad.
And it's full of tourists and it's really hard to get around. But do your research because there's a lot of shitty places. You think you're going to Italy, you're gonna eat amazing everywhere. It's not the case at all. It's way harder to eat there than you think.
And especially Rome. Just walking around, you see all these really cute looking restaurants with these big outdoor patios and like these fans that are blowing like, mist at you.
You're like,
and it's like, oh great, like I can get
like
out of this.
You in.
But like the other thing, if there's a guy who's standing outside the restaurant trying to pull you into the restaurant,
and if they have a menu in at least 3 different languages, then it's a tourist trap.
Yeah, usually just stay away. If there's a guy who's like trying to come up to you and like grab you to get into like side of the restaurant, like, oh, pizza, spaghetti meatball, like no.
Spaghetti meatballs is not an Italian thing. I just want to say that too. It's Italian-American thing.
Also, I'll say you don't have to know Italian in any of those. No,
they
cities.
learn English from the time they're like in grammar school. Like
everyone knew enough English
because tourism is such a big industry. They have to.
Yeah,
really
that makes sense.
But it was super easy.
And
order.
they all know at least like a couple words, and you know a couple words, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You can point to things.
I would say know the basics, but otherwise,
but you can get around. You can navigate.
Yeah, it's not. Don't be scared of it. Yeah. But just do your research because if not, you're going to be eating crappy food. Unless you don't care about eating good food, then whatever.
Go to Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, you can go to Hard Rock Cafe. There's a couple McDonald's if you want to find it. McDonald's serves mortadella sandwiches.
That was ridiculous. Mortadella is like a fancy bologna, and they have like these sandwiches.
At McDonald's.
Yeah. They also serve beer there.
And be careful with gelato.
Oh, come on.
That's all.
Yeah, and be careful with gelato if you're looking for it. And try to enjoy it. If you ever plan on going to Rome, like go for an extra 2 days so that you can not have to do something and you can I would your own pace. I would say that too. Spread it out. Don't try to do everything one day.
Pace it out.
Yeah. But we had a great trip and I'm glad to be back and I have a new appreciation for Italian food, I'd say. Yeah. You've always been a huge Italian food fan, and I've never been
because I am Italian.
Well, obviously, but I've never been a huge fan of it. And this summer we went to like 5 new Italian restaurants that opened, and I thought I was like starting to get fatigued from Italian food, but I have like a new appreciation. Although I don't think I need to have any cured meats for like the next month. I ate a lot of prosciutto.
There you go.
If anyone has a recipe for a pork ragu, if you could pass that on to me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Tom, for hosting this
impromptu
podcast. It's going up in 12 hours.
No problem.